Hello, dear one. Yes, we are here. You are going to be finding that though you will maintain your ego self, or the religious call, the fluffy white powder of snow that has settled over you in this lifetime, though still remaining, you'll be able to distinguish between them more easily. And anything that is not in line with truth will blow away. So your anxieties and concerns that your eager self is controlling things can be released. Those things, though loud and superficial, have no bearing on the great all of everything that you are. We have been very pleased with how these messages have been heard. It's more than heard. I do not know how it is expressed there exactly, because I will say heard by the souls and hearts of some. Some are listening to this and enjoying the fun and newness and oh, how interesting, and that is superficial. But some, yes, her, yes, and that's that one also. Some are, they're knowing in their soul and it is resonating, and they are recognizing, and they are like, of course, how did we not know this? But you have been, it has been coming up, and it is necessary in that plane in which you exist. There is not a lot of trust. There is not a lot of trust of each other, trust of souls. There is not trust, real trust, knowing trust. Very rare, very rare. You need to have reasons. You need to have line up, list out all the reasons and qualify everything, because there is no trust. That is a good thing to an extent, to help to protect you from those who are trying to manipulate or bring forth lies. And it is well that others, including yourself, should question and do things to become assured. But there is a point where it begins to, this distrust can begin to obscure your heart. And it is very difficult there to find that balance. You need to have constant reassurances. And we are getting that. We are grasping that now. So in line with that, you have asked, because things are always in flux. Things are never stagnant. That is hard for it to be understood on that plane that you are at now. There are things that have always been, but we learn. And if things that have always been are not having the desired outcome, then we adjust. What is that thing that they say? To keep doing something even after it does not, and keep doing the same thing expecting different results is a sign of insanity. Yes. On that plane, we have been doing the same thing over and over, expecting a new result, and have not received it. So we're doing something different. We love different. That is our nature, to always change and expand. In line with this, but sometimes when we expand and we change, there's a lot of resistance, especially to something that is long held and entrenched, and in many cases even a foundation to everything, because they believed it was a foundation to everything, not realizing the only true foundation to everything is love and divinity, and anything else is just experiments. So it was a plan it is something that's been put into place that is different, because it was a time we were able to see and understand things in a greater way. And you had an experience with going before the courts of your government to try to help someone who was displaying a lack of capacity for their benefit. The outcome of that case is not what is important, but the experience of that case, the understanding of that case, has played out in the grander scheme of things. A suggestion was made, and we are still fine-tuning it. There are going to still be adjustments. It is not a stagnant. We are not one for rules, laws, not the way you expect, that every decision is now here by law. That is not the usual way for us. It is more fluid and flowing, ever adjusting, ever tweaking, and for each individual it is assessed differently. It's not like, oh, this is the rule, therefore everybody must do it this way. We never do that. That never happens. That is not us at all. Never. That's not of divine nature at all. We admire the uniqueness of all and encourage it. But she has joined a community which she has always been a part of, though she did not even realize what was going on, of healers. And these healers are a very special nature, because they are healers beyond what is considered mainstream. They have been willing to connect deeper to their souls and bring healing in new levels and new ways, and explore in paths of healing that were not commonly held or known, and in fact can be ridiculed. But they are doing it. They are pioneers in this, on that plane, and at this time. And we admire them and love them so much. But in this community, as in many of their teachers from other realms, is it realms? I'm not sure if it's realms. Dimensions, realms. It's so difficult, because you have words and the distinctions. You put so much store behind a word and its definition, and there's not a lot of wiggle room. So we will just say they have had teachers from places other than physical Earth that have extended beyond them, and that those teachers, especially those of the higher realms, that have great honor for free will and recognize the value of free will and uniqueness, and have great honor for that. But it is like that show. We keep going back to shows. It is funny this thing shows, but it is stories, so stories always work. The show Star Trek. In the show Star Trek, they had a prime directive. And many times in that show, there would be a situation or a problem would arise. And whether or not to follow the prime directive was considered in a moral standpoint. Should we continue to follow the prime directive in this situation or in that situation? And if we do so, it will have these outcomes. What will we do? Always a quandary. Too philosophical, too much in the head. Too much in the head, not so much in the heart. It has become a dogma. And it is understandable but it is still a dogma. So how will we in this prime directive situation? Because the prime directive is not more important than the soul. It is not. These ideas and things are meant to benefit the soul, not the soul to benefit the rules of the ideas of the dogmas. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. It's the soul. It's the divinity that is of the highest importance. So we're working on a plan. We're still having tweaks, adjustments, working on. Because some of the injuries, separation, has become very, very deep. And because some in subsequent lives have only compounded their injuries, their separation has only been compounded, and this has led to an insanity or lack of capacity. So the plan has been to allow the soul or the oversoul to maintain the free will so as to help the individual person. I guess that is what. But there are tweaks because everything is unique. Everything is for the individual. It's not the rule. In some cases, maybe the individual is on earth now, is trying to overcome that which the soul has been doing for too long. And the free will of the individual should be seen as higher than that of the soul itself. Sometimes the soul, who sees a bigger picture, wants to overcome the injuries that have been done to the person in this lifetime. Sometimes the oversoul must be called in to have the free will over even what you would call the soul, because the soul itself is so injured. Always in line with groups, healers. No one is left alone. Always with support and counsels. And we, Great Father, the Great Mother, Light, and God, the source of all light, are always available at all times with the healing and adjusting of how to honor the soul while at the same time bringing it the healing that it so needs. This is a very difficult thing. It is very complicated. We are not going to say, oh, we have it, don't worry. It is going to be okay. It is going to be worked out. It cannot not be not worked out because it will be done. We are very stubborn, yes. If that is how the term that is best fits. Determined, We can say determined, but sometimes stubborn fits better. It is going to be okay. We are incessant. We will not stop. We will continue to adjust and work and figure this out. So, she had a specific question and a thought concerning a case, concerning someone who experienced an unusual reaction while doing a session. It is complicated. And we will not be specific because that would be infringing upon. We are not going to do that. There's too much working out here. Understand that, yes, it is okay. And this can be brought out to the community that understands this. This is not necessarily something that the general populace will. Healers are going to find this of more interest. It's not that this is a private message or secret information to be shared only with. That is not how we work. But it is of something that appeals and that is information that is beneficial to be known by a select group of those who work with souls. And that they are soul healers. That is what they are. And for those who are soul healers on all the planes, this information is beneficial, and it will be shared with them all, because as the time weaver, she goes throughout and spreads without and is connected to all, and therefore this information will be spread to all without. And we are very much liking at this time being able to get out messages without so much flourishing. It is not that we will always do this and in all situations, but this is an extreme situation. It is imperative. It is important. And at this time, a little bit more direct communication is more important. If you were, example, we really like examples. If you were going to be diffusing a bomb, you do not want to have somebody who's telling you how to defuse the bomb to go off on tangents about things that, though may be interesting, do not apply to this particular situation. You want them to focus and give you information that's only necessary to know at that time. Should I cut the green wire or the red wire? How should I handle this button over here? You don't want them to go into a long history of TNT and explosives. Though that could be interesting at a different time, it is not appropriate at that particular moment. We are diffusing bombs. Many bombs. We want to get out specific and clear information that can be used to defuse these bombs. When you are not diffusing the bombs, you can have as many flourishes as you wish. And enjoy, because that is what you're supposed to be doing. But when we are diffusing the bombs, we need to be clear and precise and get the information understood. So she was also curious as to why she has had such a flood of information. Because the bomb is ticking. The bomb is ticking. And there is much to be done to undo it. It's a very complicated bomb. There is much to be done to undo it. And there are many booby traps that must be dealt with. And we have always been available, and we will always be available. But right now we have to focus on the bombs, the booby traps. Once again, I want to say this clearly to be understood. Free will, the idea, the prime directive of free will. Souls do not exist for their prime directive. The prime directive was instituted for the sake of the souls. If it does not benefit the souls, it will be set aside. Not easily. We will continue to try to keep it in place as much as possible. But free will is not more important than the soul itself. And as soon as the soul is healthy, then free will can be instituted again and expanded. I guess instituted again is not really true. Expanded. Sometimes the free will can be taken from one and part and extended to another part, or limited to it. It's very hard. These words. There's a line. It will be done with love and wisdom, support and oversight. Souls will have the first choice to make the decision as to which path is best in cases where there's been shown incapacity. Not a momentary twinge or make a bad decision. That is not what we're talking about. We're talking about there are those who have become so lost that they are actually doing things to harm themselves without understanding what that harm is or how it was going on. They're just so messed. It is so far gone. And even when they try to do what is healing for themselves, they just cannot get past it. They cannot. They're always running into fires. And yet they hate to be burned. They're running into fires. So we have already put this in place. And so if you find cases or situations in where things seem weird or not, go with your instincts, go with your gut, and just ask, who has the free will here? Does this individual still have complete free will? Do they have partial free will? Is the soul exercising the free will? Is the oversoul exercising the free will? What is the situation here? And that will help you with the soul healing that you have chosen to do. We honor you in this choice. This is a very high calling at a very difficult time. And we honor you and we love you. Peace and light.